Upon discovering the flames engulfing their beloved barn, the family watched in horror as their prized stallion Thunder broke free and charged straight into the inferno. As smoke billowed into the night sky, everyone feared they had lost him forever. What they discovered inside would change their lives and challenge everything they thought they knew about the bond between animals. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The autumn wind whispered through the rolling hills of Willow Creek Valley, rustling the golden leaves that carpeted the grounds of Evergreen Meadows Ranch. The morning sun cast long shadows across the weathered wooden fences and well-worn paths where generations of horses had tread. Sarah Matthews stood at her bedroom window, watching the sunrise paint the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, her thoughts drifting to the day ahead. The ranch had been in her family for 4 generations, each passing year etching new stories into its sturdy beams and well-worn stalls. At just 23, Sarah carried the weight of its legacy on her shoulders, especially since her father's accident last spring had left him unable to manage the daily operations. The responsibility sometimes felt overwhelming, but the sight of their horses grazing peacefully in the morning light never failed to remind her why she loved this life so deeply. Thunder, their powerful black stallion, stood apart from the other horses, his coat gleaming like polished onyx in the early light. He'd always been different, wild, untamable by most, with a fierce intelligence that sometimes seemed almost human. Sarah's father, James, had bought him at auction 3 years ago, despite warnings about his volatile temperament. Most said he was too dangerous to keep, but Sarah had seen something else in those deep brown eyes, not defiance, but a profound wisdom and sensitivity that others missed. "Sarah, the feed delivery is here." Emma, her younger sister, called from downstairs. The urgency in her voice pulled Sarah from her reverie. At 16, Emma shared her love for the ranch, but approached everything with an enthusiasm that made Sarah smile. Together they had managed to keep things running smoothly, even as their father slowly recovered. Making her way down the creaking wooden stairs, Sarah paused to look at the family photos lining the wall. Her mother's gentle smile beamed from each frame, a reminder of the strength they'd all had to find since losing her to cancer 5 years ago. "Coming!" she called back, quickening her pace as she heard the delivery truck's engine idling outside. The morning unfolded like many others, a carefully choreographed dance of tasks that kept the ranch running. Sarah supervised the feed storage, while Emma helped with the morning feeding routine. Their small team of ranch hands, Miguel, who had worked there since before Sarah was born, and twins Jack and Jenny Thompson, moved with practiced efficiency through their morning duties. It wasn't until mid-morning that Sarah noticed something was different about Thunder. The stallion paced his paddock, ears pricked forward, nostrils flaring as he tested the air. She had learned to trust his instincts. They had warned them of approaching storms more than once. "What is it, boy?" she murmured, approaching the fence. Thunder's eyes met hers, and she felt that familiar connection, the understanding that had grown between them over countless hours of patience and gentle persistence. James Matthews watched from the porch, leaning heavily on his cane. "That horse still giving you trouble?" he called out, his voice carrying a mix of concern and pride. Sarah turned to smile at her father, remembering all the times he'd cautioned her about getting too close to Thunder. But she had persisted, spending hours just sitting near his paddock, talking softly, letting him grow accustomed to her presence. "He's trying to tell us something, Dad," she replied, studying Thunder's unusual behavior. The stallion continued his restless pacing, occasionally stopping to stare intently at the main barn where they kept their most valuable equipment and their prized breeding mares. The day progressed, but Thunder's unease only seemed to grow. By late afternoon, dark clouds had gathered on the horizon, bringing with them an unseasonable warmth and a strange electric tension in the air. Sarah had just finished reviewing their monthly accounts when Emma burst into the office, her face flushed with excitement. "Sarah, come quick! Mrs. Henderson just called. Her mare is foaling, and there are complications. She needs our help." Emma's words tumbled out in a rush. The Hendersons were their closest neighbors, fellow ranchers who had always been there for the Matthews family in times of need. Sarah grabbed her emergency veterinary kit. Though not a fully qualified vet, she had enough experience to handle most basic situations. "Tell Miguel to keep an eye on things here," she instructed Emma as they hurried to her truck. "I don't like the look of those clouds." As they drove down the winding dirt road toward the Henderson place, Sarah couldn't shake a nagging feeling of unease. Thunder's strange behavior kept replaying in her mind, along with all the times his instincts had proved right. The air felt heavy, charged with an energy that made her skin prickle. "Do you think everything will be okay?" Emma asked, her earlier excitement giving way to concern. Sarah reached over to squeeze her sister's hand, offering reassurance she wasn't entirely sure she felt. "Mrs. Henderson caught it early, and that's always the most important thing," she replied, keeping her voice steady. "We'll do everything we can to help." The foaling took hours, complex and demanding every bit of knowledge Sarah had accumulated over years of working with horses. By the time they finally helped deliver a healthy filly, night had fallen, and the storm clouds had blotted out the stars entirely. They were just washing up when Mrs. Henderson's phone rang. The older woman's face paled as she listened, and Sarah felt her heart drop before she even heard the news. "Sarah, honey," Mrs. Henderson said, her voice shaking. "That was Miguel. There's a fire at your ranch, the main barn. He says it's bad." The world seemed to tilt on its axis as Sarah processed the words. Without hesitation, she grabbed her keys, calling out instructions to Emma to stay and help Mrs. Henderson with the new foal. The drive back to Evergreen Meadows was a blur, her hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel as she pushed her truck to its limits. The glow of the fire was visible from miles away, an angry orange beacon against the night sky. As she crested the final hill, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The main barn was engulfed in flames, fire reaching hungrily toward. The sky, as their small community of neighbors and first responders battled to contain it. Her father stood with Miguel near the emergency vehicles, his face ashen. "The electrical system," he explained as she ran up, "must have been smoldering for hours. We got most of the horses out, but..." Before he could finish, a commotion near Thunder's paddock drew their attention. The stallion was rearing, fighting against his enclosure with a determination Sarah had never seen before. As they watched in horror, he broke through the fence, and before anyone could stop him, charged straight toward the burning barn. "Thunder, no!" Sarah screamed, starting forward, but her father caught her arm. Time seemed to slow as they watched. The magnificent black horse disappear into the inferno, flames reflecting off his coat like liquid fire. In that moment, Sarah understood what true helplessness felt like. Watching someone you love run straight into danger, knowing there was nothing you could do to stop them. The next few moments would be forever etched in Sarah's memory. a testament to the extraordinary depths of animal consciousness and the unbreakable bonds that can form between species. For in those terrifying seconds that stretched like hours, Thunder would prove that sometimes the wildest hearts harbor the greatest courage, and that true loyalty knows no bounds. The seconds that followed Thunder's dash into the blazing barn felt like an eternity. Sarah's heart pounded against her ribs as firefighters shouted orders and streams of water arced through the smoke-filled air. The heat was intense, forcing everyone to maintain their distance as flames continued to consume the structure. Even the most seasoned firefighters looked grim, knowing the dangers of entering a burning barn with its hay-filled lofts and wooden beams. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Then, through the curtain of smoke and flames, a sound emerged, not the crack of burning timber or the roar of the fire, but the distinct, desperate whinny of a horse. Sarah's eyes widened as Thunder's massive form materialized from the inferno, but he wasn't alone. Gripped carefully in his teeth was the rope halter of Lucy, their blind mare, who had been given to them as a rescue case months ago. The elderly horse had been too frightened to leave when the others were evacuated, having lost her bearings in the chaos. Behind Lucy, guided by Thunder's careful movements, 3 young foals followed, staying close to the older mare they had come to view as their surrogate mother. The sight brought tears to the eyes of everyone present. The fierce stallion, once deemed too dangerous to keep, leading the vulnerable members of his herd to safety with a gentleness that defied explanation. "I don't believe it," James whispered, his voice thick with emotion. He went back for them. He knew Lucy wouldn't be able to find her way out alone. Sarah rushed forward as Thunder guided his charges clear of the danger zone, her hands trembling as she reached for him. The stallion's coat was hot to the touch, singed in places, but his eyes remained steady, focused on ensuring Lucy and the foals were safely away from the flames. Only then did he lower his head to Sarah's shoulder, allowing her to check him in for injuries. The local veterinarian, Dr. Thompson, arrived within minutes, moving quickly to examine all the rescued horses. "It's a miracle," she declared, shaking her head in amazement. "They're scared, and Lucy has some minor smoke inhalation, but they're all gonna be fine. Thunder got them out just in time." As the firefighters continued their battle with the blaze, word of Thunder's heroic rescue spread through the gathered crowd. Neighbors who had once warned the Matthews about keeping such a dangerous horse now watched in awe as the stallion stood protectively near Lucy and the foals, occasionally nickering softly to keep them calm. Maria Henderson, their elderly neighbor, who had always had a way with troubled animals, made her way through the crowd to stand beside Sarah. "You know," she said softly, "my grandfather used to say that every creature has a purpose, if we're only patient enough to discover it. Some souls just need more time to reveal their true nature." The night wore on, the fire gradually yielding to the firefighters' efforts. Dawn was breaking by the time the last hotspots were extinguished, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold that seemed to mock the destruction below. The barn was a total loss, its blackened skeleton a stark reminder of how close they had come to an even greater tragedy. Sarah sat on the ground near Thunder's temporary enclosure, watching as the stallion continued his vigil over Lucy and the foals. The blind mare had settled considerably, drawing comfort from Thunder's presence in a way that touched Sarah's heart. It was as if the night's events had awakened something in the stallion. Not a change exactly, but a revelation of something that had been there all along, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Emma returned from the Hendersons just as the clean-up efforts were beginning, her eyes wide as she surveyed the damage. When she heard about Thunder's rescue, she burst into tears, running to hug the stallion's neck despite her usual caution around him. To everyone's surprise, Thunder lowered his head gently, allowing the display of affection with remarkable patience. As news of the incident spread throughout the local farming community, people began arriving with offers of help. Pickup trucks, loaded with hay and supplies, formed a steady stream into the ranch. The Thompsons offered their spare stable to house the displaced horses temporarily. Even old Mr. Peterson, known for his gruff demeanor, showed up with his construction crew, offering to help rebuild the barn at cost. "Your grandfather would be proud," James said quietly to Sarah as they watched the community rally around them. "He always said this ranch was built on more than just wood and nails. It was built on heart, on the kind of spirit that shows itself in times of crisis." Sarah nodded, thinking of all the stories she'd heard about her grandfather's determination to establish Evergreen Meadows as more than just a business. He had envisioned a place where both horses and humans could find their true potential, where second chances were given freely, and where judgment was suspended in favor of patience and understanding. Looking at Thunder now, she realized how close they had come to giving up on him in those early days. His aggressive behavior and resistant nature had tested their resolve countless times, but something had made them persist. Perhaps the same instinct that had led her grandfather to take chances on troubled horses others had written off. As the day progressed, Dr. Thompson returned to check on Lucy and the foals. The vet paused in her examination to watch Thunder, who had positioned himself where he could see all four of his charges at once. "You know," she mused, "in all my years of practice, I've seen plenty of horses show protective instincts, but this is different. He's not just acting on impulse. He made a conscious choice to go back into that fire. He understood the danger, and he went anyway." The observations sparked a deep conversation among those present about animal consciousness and the bonds that form between creatures. Miguel, who had worked with horses all his life, shared stories of other remarkable acts of equine intelligence he'd witnessed. Each tale seemed to underscore what Sarah had always believed, that horses possessed depths of understanding that humans were only beginning to comprehend. That evening, as the community gathered for an impromptu dinner organized by the local church ladies, Sarah found herself surrounded by people eager to share their own perspectives on Thunder's transformation. Mrs. Henderson, who had initially been one of the most vocal critics of keeping the stallion, admitted that she had been wrong in her judgment. "It reminds me of my late husband," she said, her eyes misting with memories. "He always said that the true measure of any being, human or animal, isn't in how they act when everything's easy, but in what they do when everything's at stake. Your Thunder showed us all something important last night." The conversation turned to plans for rebuilding, with various members of the community offering their expertise and resources. The new barn, they decided, would be better than the old one, with improved safety features and a special area designed for rehabilitation cases like Lucy. Thunder's actions had inspired many to reconsider their approach to troubled horses, and several people expressed interest in supporting an expansion of the ranch's rescue program. As night fell once again over Evergreen Meadows, Sarah made her final rounds, checking on all the horses before retiring. She saved Thunder for last, bringing him an extra measure of grain and some fresh hay. The stallion's ears pricked forward at her approach, but his posture remained relaxed, a far cry from the tense, defensive animal he had once been. "You had it in you all along, didn't you?" she murmured, reaching out to stroke his powerful neck. "You just needed the right moment to show everyone what you were capable of." Thunder's soft nicker seemed to agree, his gentle breath warming her hand as he accepted her touch with unprecedented trust. As she walked back to the house, Sarah reflected on how a single act of courage had rippled out to touch so many lives. The loss of the barn was significant, but what they had gained in understanding, in community support, and in the revelation of Thunder's true nature far outweighed the material damage. Tomorrow would bring the challenges of rebuilding, but tonight, under a sky full of stars, she felt a profound sense of gratitude for the lessons this difficult day had taught them all. The story of Thunder's rescue would be told and retold in their community for years to come, not just as a tale of animal heroism, but as a reminder that courage and compassion can emerge from the most unexpected sources. It stood as testimony to the wisdom of looking beyond surface appearances, of having the patience to allow noble qualities to reveal themselves in their own time. The days following the fire brought both challenges and unexpected blessings to Evergreen Meadows Ranch. As the community rallied around the Matthews family, each sunrise revealed new evidence of human kindness and resilience. Construction crews arrived early each morning, their tools creating a symphony of purpose as they cleared debris and laid foundations for the new barn. The project had become more than just rebuilding. It was a testament to the power of unity and shared purpose. Sarah spent her mornings overseeing the reconstruction while keeping a watchful eye on the temporary paddocks where their horses were housed. Thunder had maintained his newfound role as protector, particularly of Lucy and the foals. The change in him wasn't just in his behavior toward other horses. He showed a growing trust in humans that amazed everyone who knew his history. One morning, as Sarah walked the property with Dr. Thompson for routine checkups, they noticed something extraordinary. A group of children from the local elementary school had gathered at the fence, chaperoned by their teacher, Mrs. Chen. They were part of a special education class, and one little boy in particular, named David, seemed transfixed by Thunder. "He's never shown this much interest in anything before," Mrs. Chen explained quietly to Sarah. "David has autism, and he usually keeps to himself, but look at him now." The boy stood completely still, his eyes locked with Thunder's in a silent exchange that seemed to transcend ordinary communication. Sarah felt a familiar tingle of intuition, the same feeling she'd had when she first insisted on giving Thunder a chance. After a brief discussion with Mrs. Chen and Dr. Thompson, they decided to try something unprecedented. With careful preparation and multiple safety precautions in place, they arranged for David to meet Thunder up close. The moment was magical. David, who rarely made eye contact with humans, reached out to touch Thunder's nose with complete confidence. The massive stallion, in turn, lowered his head gently, showing a patience that brought tears to the adult's eyes. It was as if the two souls recognized something in each other, a shared experience of being misunderstood, of having depths that others couldn't see. Word of Thunder's gentle interaction with David spread quickly, and soon the Matthews family began receiving inquiries about the possibility of using their ranch for therapeutic riding programs. Sarah found herself diving into research about equine-assisted therapy, discovering a whole new potential purpose for Evergreen Meadows. Emma, who had always shown an interest in working with children, threw herself into learning everything she could about therapeutic riding. She spent hours online, taking courses and connecting with established programs. "Think about it, Sarah," she said excitedly one evening. "This could be exactly what the ranch needs, a way to help both horses and humans heal together." James watched his daughter's enthusiasm with quiet pride. The accident that had limited his physical capabilities had initially felt like an ending, but now he saw it differently. Sometimes life's biggest setbacks are just redirections, he mused aloud. If I hadn't been forced to step back, you girls might never have had the chance to discover these new possibilities. As plans for the new barn evolved, they incorporated designs specifically suited for therapeutic programs. The local architect, inspired by the project's purpose, donated extra hours to create spaces that would be accessible for people with various physical challenges while maintaining the authentic ranch atmosphere. Thunder's role in this transformation went far beyond that initial rescue. His journey from feared outcast to gentle teacher became a powerful metaphor that resonated with everyone who heard the story. Local news outlets picked up the tale, and soon Evergreen Meadows was fielding calls from people across the state interested in their emerging program. One afternoon, as Sarah watched Thunder interact with a group of visiting physical therapy students, she noticed Lucy standing nearby. Her blind eyes turned toward the sound of children's laughter. The mayor's presence gave her another idea. "What if," she proposed to Dr. Thompson, "we created a program specifically for working with special needs animals? Let them be part of the healing process too." The concept took root quickly. Lucy, despite, or perhaps because of her blindness, proved exceptionally gentle with nervous children. Her need to rely on other senses made her especially attuned to the emotions of those around her. Together with Thunder, she became an ambassador for the program, demonstrating how perceived limitations could become unique strengths. The construction of the new barn progressed steadily, but it wasn't just a building taking shape. It was a new vision for Evergreen Meadows. Each beam and board represented not just recovery from the fire, but evolution into something greater. The tragedy had burned away old limitations, leaving fertile ground for new dreams to take root. Miguel, who had been quietly observing these changes, approached Sarah one evening as she finished her rounds. "You know, señorita," he said thoughtfully, "your grandfather used to say that every horse carries a message if we learn to listen. Perhaps Thunder's message wasn't just about courage in one moment, but about the courage to change, to become more than what others believe possible." His words struck a deep chord. Sarah began to see how Thunder's transformation reflected their own journey as a family and as a ranch. They had all been forced out of their comfort zones, challenged to adapt and grow in ways they never expected. The fire, destructive as it was, had sparked a renaissance. As summer turned to fall, the new barn neared completion. Its design incorporated both traditional elements and innovative features. Wide aisles to accommodate wheelchairs, specially designed mounting areas, and a covered arena for year-round activities. But perhaps most importantly, it included a special wing dedicated to rehabilitation cases like Thunder and Lucy, a place where troubled horses could find their way back to trust. David continued his visits, now joined by other children from his class. The transformation in him was remarkable. He had begun speaking more, engaging with his classmates, and showing improvement in his schoolwork. His parents, who had tried numerous therapeutic approaches, were amazed by the change. "It's like Thunder understands him in a way we never could," his mother explained, wiping away tears as she watched her son confidently leading the gentle giant through simple exercises. The story of Thunder's rescue had evolved into something far more significant than a single act of heroism. It had become a catalyst for change, showing how crisis could lead to opportunity, how fear could transform into trust, and how limitations could become stepping stones to new possibilities. One evening, as the sun set over the newly completed barn, Sarah found her father sitting on the porch, watching Thunder in the paddock. The stallion was teaching one of the younger horses how to remain calm during a thunderstorm, displaying a patience and wisdom that still amazed them. "You know what I've learned from all this?" James said, his voice thoughtful. "It's not just about second chances. It's about having the vision to see potential where others see problems, and the patience to let that potential emerge in its own time. Thunder taught us that, and now we get to pass that lesson on to others." Sarah nodded, understanding deeply what her father meant. Every day brought new challenges and opportunities, but they faced them with a renewed sense of purpose. The fire had destroyed their barn, but had given birth to something far more valuable, a new understanding of what it meant to heal, to grow, and to transform. As night fell over Evergreen Meadows, the lights of the new barn cast a warm glow across the property. Inside, Thunder stood watch over his charges, his presence a living testament to the power of looking beyond appearances, of believing in the potential for change, and of the extraordinary impact one act of courage could have on countless lives. The transformation of Evergreen Meadows continued to unfold in unexpected ways as autumn painted the landscape in rich hues of gold and crimson. One crisp morning, Sarah received a call that would add another remarkable chapter to their evolving story. A renowned equine behaviorist, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, had read about Thunder's journey and wanted to visit the ranch to study his unique relationship with both humans and horses. Dr. Rodriguez arrived on a bright Tuesday morning, her keen eyes taking in every detail of the new facility and its inhabitants. "In 30 years of studying horse behavior," she remarked, watching Thunder guide a nervous new rescue through its first interaction with children, "I've never seen anything quite like this. He's not just tolerating human presence, he's actively facilitating healing connections." The behaviorist's visit coincided with their first official therapeutic riding session. 6 children with various challenges had been carefully selected for the pilot program, including David, whose connection with Thunder had helped inspire this new direction. As they watched the session unfold, Dr. Rodriguez made observations that helped them understand the deeper significance of what was happening. "Look at how Thunder adjusts his behavior for each child," she pointed out. "With David, he's completely still, allowing that peaceful connection to develop. But with Anna, who needs to build confidence, he's gently encouraging her to take small steps outside her comfort zone. This level of emotional intelligence is extraordinary." Lucy, too, had found her unique role in the program. Her blindness, rather than being a limitation, proved to be a powerful teaching tool. Children learning to cope with their own physical challenges found inspiration in how confidently she navigated her world, relying on her other senses and the unwavering support of her equine companions. One particularly moving moment occurred when a young girl named Maya, who had lost her sight in an accident the previous year, spent time with Lucy. The mare seemed to sense a kindred spirit, and their interaction brought tears to everyone's eyes. "She knows exactly where everything is," Maya exclaimed, running her hands along Lucy's neck, "just like I'm learning to do." Dr. Rodriguez's presence attracted attention from other professionals in the field. Soon, Evergreen Meadows was hosting workshops and seminars, sharing their emerging methodology with other therapeutic riding centers. Thunder and Lucy became living examples of how trauma and limitations could be transformed into unique abilities to help others. The program's success led to an unexpected opportunity. A wealthy philanthropist, moved by the stories coming out of Evergreen Meadows, offered to fund an expansion. This would allow them to build additional facilities specifically designed for their therapeutic work while maintaining the ranch's traditional operations. As they discussed the possibility, James surprised everyone with his insight. "You know," he said, looking out over the property his family had worked for generations, "I always thought our legacy would be in the horses we bred or the competitions we won. But maybe it's really about the lives we touch and the healing we facilitate." The expansion plans brought new challenges and opportunities. Sarah found herself working closely with architects and therapeutic riding specialists to design spaces that would serve both horses and humans effectively. Emma's research into equine-assisted therapy proved invaluable as they developed their programs. One morning, as Sarah watched Thunder work with a group of veterans dealing with PTSD, she noticed something remarkable. The stallion had developed an almost uncanny ability to sense when someone was about to experience a flashback or anxiety attack. He would position himself between the person and others, creating a safe space and offering silent support until the moment passed. A former Marine named Marcus, who had barely spoken since returning from his last deployment, found his voice again through working with Thunder. "He doesn't judge," Marcus explained quietly, after a particularly breakthrough session. "He just accepts where you are and helps you find your way back to who you want to be." The ranch's impact extended beyond its formal programs. Local schools began bringing students for educational visits, where they learned not just about horses, but about empathy, resilience, and the importance of looking beneath the surface. Thunder and Lucy's story became a powerful teaching tool, demonstrating how perceived weaknesses could become unique strengths. Dr. Rodriguez's research paper about Thunder's behavioral evolution was published in a prestigious journal, bringing scientific validation to what they had witnessed. "What we're seeing here," she wrote, "is evidence that emotional intelligence in horses may be far more sophisticated than previously understood." Thunder's ability to adapt his responses to individual human needs suggests a level of empathetic awareness that challenges our current understanding of animal consciousness. The paper sparked interest from other researchers, and soon Evergreen Meadows was hosting studies on various aspects of equine-assisted therapy. Each new discovery seemed to confirm what Sarah had intuited from the beginning, that horses possessed remarkable capacities for healing and connection when given the chance to express them. One particularly touching moment came when they hosted a group of children from a local foster home. Many of these children had experienced trauma and struggled with trust. Thunder's gentle presence and patient approach helped several of them open up in ways their caregivers hadn't seen before. A young girl named Sophie, who hadn't spoken since entering the foster system 3 months earlier, broke her silence while grooming Thunder. "He feels sad sometimes, too," she whispered, surprising everyone. "But he's not scared anymore, so maybe I don't have to be either." The impact of their work began to ripple outward in unexpected ways. Other ranches sought their advice on incorporating therapeutic programs, and several former clients started similar initiatives in their own communities. The model they had developed, born from tragedy and transformed through hope, was helping to change lives far beyond their own fences. As winter approached, bringing with it shorter days and crisp, star-filled nights, Sarah often found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this point. The fire that had threatened to destroy everything had instead sparked a renewal, not just of buildings and programs, but of spirit and purpose. One evening, as snow began to fall softly over the ranch, Sarah stood with her father in the new barn, watching Thunder teach another rescue horse how to trust again. The transformation in the newer horse was remarkable, much like Thunder's own journey from feared outcast to gentle teacher. "You know what amazes me most?" James mused, his voice soft with wonder. "It's not just that Thunder saved those horses from the fire, or that he's helping all these people now. It's that he's showing us every day that our greatest purpose might be in helping others find theirs." Sarah nodded, understanding deeply what her father meant. Every day brought new evidence of the healing power of connection, whether between horses and humans, or simply between beings who recognized in each other the capacity for growth and change. As they walked back to the house through the gentle snowfall, the lights of the therapeutic riding center glowed warmly in the gathering dusk. Inside, Thunder stood watch over his extended family. Lucy, the rescue horses, and all the souls, human and equine, who found their way to Evergreen Meadows, seeking healing and hope. The story of the horse who ran into a burning barn had become more than just a tale of heroism. It had become a beacon of hope, a reminder that within every challenge lies the seed of greater purpose, and that the most profound healing often comes through helping others find their way to wholeness. Spring arrived at Evergreen Meadows with an energy of renewal and possibility. The therapeutic riding center had gained national recognition, attracting visitors from across the country eager to learn from their groundbreaking approach. But it was a quiet moment, one dewy morning, that would open yet another extraordinary chapter in their journey. Sarah was doing her morning rounds when she noticed Thunder standing unusually still, his attention fixed on the distant tree line. Following his gaze, she spotted movement, a wild horse, clearly injured, limping at the edge of their property. The mare's coat was matted, her body bearing signs of severe neglect and abuse. Without any prompting, Thunder let out a soft nickering sound, one Sarah had never heard before. The wild mare's head lifted, ears pricked forward. What happened next left Sarah breathless. Thunder walked calmly to the gate, waiting patiently until she opened it, then approached the injured mare with extraordinary gentleness. "I can't believe what I'm seeing," Dr. Thompson whispered, having arrived for her weekly checkup just in time to witness the scene. Together, they watched as Thunder guided the frightened mare back toward the ranch, matching his pace to her limping gait, positioning himself to support her weakened side. The mare, whom they named Hope, proved to be a pivotal addition to their program. Her rehabilitation process, guided by Thunder's unwavering support, became a powerful metaphor for the children and adults working through their own healing journeys. Word of Hope's rescue spread through the equestrian community, leading to an unexpected visit from renowned wildlife photographer Thomas Chen. His photographs of Thunder and Hope's developing bond captured something profound about the healing power of compassion and understanding. "There's something remarkable happening here," Chen observed, reviewing his images. "These horses aren't just overcoming their traumas. They're using their experiences to help others heal. It's like they've discovered a higher purpose in their pain." The presence of Chen's photographs in a major nature magazine brought new attention to Evergreen Meadows. But it was a letter from a small Native American reservation in Montana that would transform their mission once again. The tribe's elders wrote about their struggling youth program and their traditional beliefs about the healing spirit of horses. After much discussion, the Matthews family decided to expand their impact. They developed a mentorship program, sharing their methodology with other communities while honoring and incorporating their unique cultural perspectives on horse-human connections. Thunder's role continued to evolve. He seemed to possess an uncanny ability to identify which horses would work best with specific programs or individuals. His selections proved so accurate that Dr. Rodriguez incorporated his choices into her ongoing research about equine emotional intelligence. One particularly moving example came when Thunder insisted on introducing a retired racing thoroughbred to Marcus, the veteran who had found his voice at the ranch. The thoroughbred, like Marcus, struggled with anxiety and hypervigilance. Together, they began a journey of mutual healing that inspired a new branch of their veterans program. Emma, now studying equine therapy in college, developed an innovative program combining art therapy with horse interaction. Children would paint their stories on special blankets for the horses, creating physical representations of their emotional bonds. Thunder would wear these blankets during therapy sessions, carrying the children's hopes and fears with dignity. The ranch's impact extended into unexpected areas. Local justice programs began sending juvenile offenders for rehabilitation work. Many of these troubled youth found transformation through caring for rescued horses, learning empathy and responsibility in ways traditional programs had failed to inspire. One young man, Jacob, who had been caught vandalizing local businesses, discovered a talent for gentle training techniques. Under Thunder's patient tutelage, he developed such skill that several prestigious stables offered him apprenticeships. "The horses taught me something schools never could," Jacob explained during a program evaluation. "They showed me that my past doesn't have to define my future. Every day is a new chance to be better, to help others the way they helped me." Sarah's father, watching the ranch's evolution from his wheelchair, found his own role expanding. His years of experience, combined with the new therapeutic approaches, created a unique perspective that proved invaluable in training new staff and developing programs. "Sometimes," he told a group of visiting program directors, "the greatest wisdom comes from learning to see with new eyes. These horses aren't just teaching us about healing, they're teaching us about the unlimited potential for growth and transformation that exists in every living being." Lucy, the blind mare, continued to surprise everyone with her abilities. She developed an extraordinary talent for working with children who struggled with sensory processing disorders. Her need to navigate the world through other senses helped these children discover new ways of experiencing and understanding their environment. The arrival of spring foals brought new joy to the ranch. Hope, now fully recovered, gave birth to a beautiful colt. Thunder's interaction with the newborn demonstrated yet another facet of his remarkable character, a tender patience that encouraged the foal's natural curiosity while ensuring its safety. Dr. Rodriguez's continued research at the ranch led to groundbreaking insights about horse-human relationships. "What we're observing here," she reported at a veterinary conference, "goes beyond simple animal therapy. These horses are demonstrating levels of emotional sophistication that challenge our entire understanding of consciousness and healing." The success of their program attracted attention from international organizations. Delegations from Europe and Asia visited to study their methodology, leading to cultural exchanges that enriched everyone's understanding of the human-animal bond. One evening, as the sun set over the mountains, Sarah found Thunder standing at the highest point of the pasture, overlooking the entire ranch. The property had transformed from a traditional horse farm into a healing sanctuary that touched countless lives. Yet Thunder's quiet strength remained at its heart, a living testament to the power of unconditional love and the capacity for change. "You knew all along, didn't you?" she whispered, stroking his powerful neck. "You knew that saving those horses from the fire was just the beginning. You were showing us what was possible when we believe in something greater than ourselves." Thunder's gentle nickering seemed to agree, his wise eyes reflecting the golden light of sunset. Below them, the lights of the therapeutic center began to twinkle on, and the sound of children's laughter floated up from the evening programs. The story of the horse who ran into a burning barn had become a legend, but the daily miracles happening at Evergreen Meadows were its true legacy. Each sunrise brought new opportunities for healing, for growth, and for discovering the extraordinary potential that lies within every wounded spirit, human or equine. As night fell over the ranch, Thunder made his rounds, checking on each of his charges: Hope and her foal, Lucy, the therapy horses, and the newest rescues. His presence brought calm and confidence, a living reminder that from the darkest moments can come the greatest light. The Matthews family had learned that true healing wasn't just about recovering from past wounds. It was about transforming those experiences into wisdom that could light the way for others. Their ranch had become more than a sanctuary. It was a beacon of hope, showing that when courage meets compassion, miracles become possible. And at its heart stood Thunder, the horse who had run into a burning barn and emerged as a teacher, healer, and guide, proving that sometimes the most profound acts of courage are not single moments of heroism, but the daily choice to help others find their way to wholeness. As summer bloomed across Evergreen Meadows, an unexpected letter arrived that would challenge everything they had built. The state was planning a major highway expansion, and the proposed route would cut directly through their therapeutic riding trails. The news hit the Matthews family hard, but it was Thunder's reaction that truly captured the gravity of the situation. The stallion stood at the fence line for hours, gazing across the meadows where countless healing journeys had begun. It was as if he understood that their sanctuary was under threat. Sarah found herself beside him, her hand resting on his neck, both of them watching the surveyors place their markers across the land. "We won't let them take this from us," she whispered, more to herself than to Thunder. The horse turned his head, his eyes meeting hers with that deep wisdom that had guided them through so many challenges. In that moment, Sarah felt a familiar surge of determination, the same feeling she'd had when thunder had charged into the burning barn. The community's response was immediate and overwhelming. David's parents organized a petition. Marcus, the veteran who had found his voice through their program, reached out to his military connections. Local media picked up the story, highlighting the unique work being done at Evergreen Meadows. Emma, now finished with her first year of college, put her new media skills to work. She created a powerful documentary showcasing the ranch's impact, featuring stories from those whose lives had been transformed. The video went viral, drawing attention from national news outlets. Dr. Rodriguez contributed scientific evidence of the program's effectiveness, while Mr. Chen's photographs captured the spirit of their work in ways words couldn't express. The images of thunder working with children, guiding other horses, and standing guard over his charges spoke volumes about the sanctuary they had created. But it was Hope, the once wild mare, who provided the most compelling argument for preserving their land. Her transformation from a terrified, injured outcast to a gentle therapy horse demonstrated the unique power of their environment. The foal she had given birth to, now strong and confident under Thunder's guidance, represented the future they were fighting to protect. Lucy, despite her blindness, seemed to sense the tension in the air. She began spending more time near the threatened trails, moving with such confidence that visitors often didn't realize she couldn't see. Her ability to navigate by memory and other senses became a powerful metaphor for adapting to change while holding on to what matters most. The turning point came during a public hearing about the highway project. As officials presented their plans, the doors of the meeting hall opened to an unexpected sight. Led by Marcus and several other veterans, a procession of their program participants, children, adults, and families, filled the room. Each carried a story of transformation that had occurred on the very land the highway would destroy. Jacob, the former troubled youth who had found his calling with horses, spoke with passionate eloquence about second chances and sacred spaces. "This isn't just land," he declared, his voice steady despite his nervousness. "This is where broken spirits learn to heal. This is where hope gets a second chance." A young girl named Sophia, who had overcome selective mutism through their program, surprised everyone by taking the microphone. In a clear voice that brought tears to many eyes, she described how thunder had helped her find her voice. "He showed me that being scared doesn't mean you can't be brave," she said. "Please don't take away the place where other kids can learn to be brave too." The Highway Commission found themselves facing not just opposition to a road project, but a passionate defense of a place where miracles happen daily. The media coverage brought the story to national attention, and soon letters of support were pouring in from across the country. Environmental groups joined the cause, identifying the meadows as a crucial wildlife corridor. Preservationists highlighted the historical significance of the ranch. Mental health professionals testified about the unique effectiveness of their therapeutic programs. Through it all, Thunder maintained his quiet vigilance, his presence a constant reminder of why they were fighting. Each morning, he would make his rounds of the property, checking on every horse, every person who needed his special brand of comfort. His unwavering dedication became a symbol of their determination to protect what they had built. The pressure mounted as the deadline for the final decision approached. Sarah spent countless hours in meetings, presenting alternatives and fighting for their land, but it was during a quiet moment with Thunder that she found the answer they needed. Watching him guide a new rescue horse through its first interaction with a child, Sarah realized their strength lay not in opposition, but in invitation. They organized an open house, inviting the highway commissioners and their families to spend a day experiencing the magic of Evergreen Meadows firsthand. The event proved transformative. Thunder, as if understanding the stakes, demonstrated his extraordinary abilities with even more grace than usual. He helped a commissioner's shy daughter overcome her fear of horses, showed remarkable patience with an elderly official who had never ridden before, and displayed the gentle leadership that had made him legendary. Hope and her foal charmed everyone with their playful interactions, while Lucy demonstrated how even significant challenges could be overcome with the right support. The other therapy horses, each with their own story of transformation, showed the commissioners exactly what would be lost if the highway divided their land. As the sun set on that crucial day, one of the commissioners approached Sarah. "I've spent 30 years planning roads," he admitted, watching Thunder guide a young rider through a confidence-building exercise. "But I've never seen anything like this. There has to be another way." The solution, when it came, was better than they could have hoped. Not only would the highway be rerouted to preserve their land, but the state would designate Evergreen Meadows as a protected therapeutic sanctuary, ensuring its preservation for future generations. The victory celebration brought together everyone who had fought to save the ranch. As music played and children rode horses under the summer stars, Sarah found herself again standing with Thunder on their favorite hilltop. Below them, the lights of the ranch twinkled like earthbound stars, each one representing a story of healing, hope, and transformation. "You know what amazes me most," she said to Thunder, who nickered softly in response. "It's not just that you saved those horses from the fire, or that you've helped so many people heal. It's that you showed us all how to fight for what matters, not with anger or fear, but with love and invitation." The stallion's gentle wisdom had taught them that true strength lies not in resisting change, but in transforming challenges into opportunities for growth. The threat to their land had brought their community together in ways they never expected, making their sanctuary stronger than ever. As night fell over Evergreen Meadows, Thunder made his final rounds, checking on each of his charges. The land they had fought to protect would continue to be a place of healing, where broken spirits could find renewal and where the extraordinary bond between horses and humans could work its daily miracles. The story of the horse who ran into a burning barn had evolved into something far greater, a testament to the power of courage, compassion, and community to protect what matters most. And at its heart stood Thunder, still teaching them that the greatest acts of heroism often come not in dramatic moments, but in the quiet, daily choice to serve something greater than ourselves. The autumn winds brought change to Evergreen Meadows, carrying with them an opportunity that would test Thunder's extraordinary capabilities in ways no one could have anticipated. A desperate call came from a prestigious equine hospital in Colorado. They had received a group of severely traumatized horses rescued from an illegal racing operation. Traditional rehabilitation methods had failed, and they had heard about Thunder's unique ability to reach troubled horses. Sarah stood in Thunder's paddock, watching the stallion's reaction as she received the news. His ears pricked forward, as if understanding the weight of what was being asked. The request wasn't just for rehabilitation, it was for Thunder to travel to Colorado and work with these horses directly, something they had never attempted before. "They need you, boy," Sarah whispered, running her hand along his powerful neck, "but it's your choice." Thunder's response was immediate. He walked to the trailer they used for local transport and stood quietly beside it, his decision clear. The preparation for the journey was intense. Dr. Rodriguez insisted on documenting every aspect of this unprecedented experiment. "This could revolutionize how we approach equine rehabilitation," she explained, setting up specialized recording equipment. "We've never seen a horse actively participate in the healing of others like this." Emma, home from college for a special internship, worked with local media to share their story. "It's not just about helping these horses," she told reporters. "It's about showing the world that healing can come from the most unexpected sources." The day of departure arrived, with a crisp morning chill. The entire community gathered to see them off. David, now speaking confidently to small groups, presented Thunder with a hand-painted collar bearing messages of encouragement from all the children in the program. Lucy stood at the fence line, her blind eyes turned toward her friend and mentor, as if offering silent support. The journey to Colorado became its own story of hope. At every stop, people who had heard about Thunder's mission gathered to offer support. Truck drivers radioed ahead, spreading word of the remarkable horse who had run into a burning barn and was now traveling to help others heal. Upon arriving at the equine hospital, the sight that greeted them was heartbreaking. The rescued horses stood in separate paddocks, each bearing physical and emotional scars from their ordeal. Some refused to let humans approach, while others showed signs of severe anxiety and depression. Dr. Catherine Wells, the hospital's chief veterinarian, explained their situation. "We've tried everything," she said, her exhaustion evident. "These horses have been through hell. They don't trust anyone or anything anymore." Thunder's response was remarkable. After surveying the scene from his trailer, he let out a soft, melodious whinny that none of them had ever heard before. The traumatized horses lifted their heads, their ears pricking forward with interest. It was as if he was speaking directly to their wounded spirits. Over the next few weeks, Thunder demonstrated an approach to healing that left even experienced veterinarians in awe. He worked with each horse differently, seeming to understand exactly what each one needed. For a mare who feared human touch, he showed how gentle contact could bring comfort. For a stallion angry at the world, he provided firm but compassionate boundaries. Dr. Rodriguez's documentation captured remarkable moments of breakthrough. One particularly powerful scene showed Thunder working with a young horse who had completely shut down, refusing to eat or interact. Thunder positioned himself nearby, sharing his own food and gradually encouraging the traumatized horse to join him. Day by day, the young horse began to emerge from its shell. The hospital staff learned to follow Thunder's lead, adapting their treatment protocols based on his interactions. "He's not just helping the horses," Dr. Wells observed. "He's teaching us a whole new approach to trauma recovery." Word of Thunder's work spread through the veterinary community. Specialists traveled from around the country to witness his methods. Each success story added to the growing understanding of horses' capacity for emotional intelligence and healing. One of the most powerful moments came when Thunder worked with a mare who had been used as a gambling prop, forced to race while injured. Her trust in humans had been completely shattered. Thunder's approach was unlike anything they had seen before. He created a safe space where she could express her fear and anger, staying with her through her emotional storm until she found peace. The transformation in the rescued horses was remarkable. Under Thunder's guidance, they began to recover not just physically, but emotionally. The hospital staff noted how they started forming healthy relationships with each other, and gradually with humans again. Sarah watched it all with a deep sense of wonder. "He's showing us that healing isn't just about fixing what's broken," she told Dr. Rodriguez during one of their documentary sessions. "It's about creating the space where transformation becomes possible." Thunder's work in Colorado attracted attention from unexpected quarters. A group of trauma therapists visited the hospital, studying how his methods might inform their work. With human patients, the parallels between his approach and advanced therapeutic techniques were striking. As the weeks passed, the hospital grounds transformed from a place of despair to one of hope. The rescued horses, once isolated in their trauma, began forming a supportive herd community. They looked to Thunder as their leader, but more importantly, they learned from him how to trust again. The success of the rehabilitation program led to an important decision. The hospital, in collaboration with Evergreen Meadows, would establish a permanent equine trauma recovery center. Thunder would help train other horses to become healing companions, expanding the reach of their work. The day they prepared to return home, Dr. Wells presented them with a journal documenting Thunder's impact. "What he's done here goes beyond rehabilitation," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "He's shown us that the capacity for healing lies within the very beings we're trying to help." The journey home was filled with reflection. Thunder had not just helped heal traumatized horses, he had pioneered a new understanding of how trauma recovery could work. His methods would continue to influence both veterinary medicine and therapeutic practices. Arriving back at Evergreen Meadows, they found the ranch transformed as well. Inspired by Thunder's work, the community had expanded their facilities to include a specialized trauma recovery wing. Lucy had taken on a larger role in their program, her gentle presence helping newcomers feel safe. That evening, as the sun set over the mountains, Sarah found Thunder in his favorite spot overlooking the ranch. The stallion who had once charged into a burning barn had become something even more remarkable, a healer who could guide others from darkness to light. "You've shown us all what's possible," she whispered, embracing his strong neck. "When we trust in the power of compassion, every wound can become a source of wisdom, every scar a testament to survival." The stars emerged one by one, their light reflecting in Thunder's wise eyes. Below them, the sounds of the ranch drifted. Up, horses nickering softly, the quiet movements of the night watch, the peaceful breathing of creatures who had found their way home. The story of Thunder's mission to Colorado became another chapter in their ongoing journey of transformation. It proved that courage comes in many forms, sometimes in dramatic moments of rescue, but more often in the patient, daily work of helping others heal. As night settled over Evergreen Meadows, Thunder made his rounds, checking on each member of his expanding family. His presence carried a new depth of wisdom, earned through the profound work of guiding others from trauma to trust, from fear to freedom. The legacy of the horse who ran into a burning barn had grown far beyond that single act of bravery. Thunder had become a teacher of healing, showing that within every wounded spirit lies the potential for renewal, and that sometimes the greatest acts of courage are those that help others find their way back to life. Winter descended on Evergreen Meadows, bringing with it a profound challenge that would reveal yet another dimension of Thunder's extraordinary spirit. Early one morning, as snowflakes danced in the crisp air, an urgent call came from the mountain ridge wild horse sanctuary. A devastating avalanche had trapped a herd of wild horses in a remote valley, and time was running out to save them. The sanctuary's director, Rebecca Whitehorse, a Native American woman known for her work preserving wild horse herds, made the request herself. "We need Thunder," she explained, her voice crackling over the satellite phone. "These horses are too frightened to approach rescuers, and the weather's getting worse." Sarah and Dr. Rodriguez exchanged glances, both thinking of the risks. The rescue location was treacherous, the conditions severe. But Thunder, who had been listening to the conversation from his paddock, stepped forward with the same quiet determination. He had shown the night of the barn fire. The rescue mission mobilized quickly. Local authorities provided helicopter support for surveying the area, while experienced mountain rescue teams prepared equipment. Thunder would need to be airlifted to a base camp near the trapped herd, something they had never attempted before. As they prepared for the mission, Emma worked with the media to raise awareness and coordinate additional support. The story of the heroic therapy horse heading into the mountains to save wild horses captured public imagination. Local businesses donated supplies, and volunteers came forward to help maintain the ranch in their absence. Lucy, sensing the gravity of the situation, stood beside Thunder as they prepared him for the journey. The blind mare had become extraordinarily perceptive to emotions, and her calm presence helped steady everyone's nerves. Thunder touched his nose to hers in a gentle goodbye, a moment that brought tears to many eyes. The helicopter flight into the mountains was tense. Thunder remained remarkably calm as they soared over snow-covered peaks, his trust in Sarah evident in his steady breathing. Below them, the devastation of the avalanche became clear. Massive swaths of snow had carved new paths through the forest, creating barriers that trapped the wild herd in a steadily shrinking safe zone. At the base camp, Rebecca briefed them on the situation. The herd's about 30 strong, led by a silver stallion we call Ghost. They're trapped between the avalanche debris and a sheer cliff. The snowpack's unstable. We can't use heavy equipment without risking another slide. Thunder surveyed the scene from the edge of camp, his ears forward, body alert. The wild horses were visible in the distance, huddled together against the bitter wind. Their fear was palpable even from afar. Any attempt by humans to approach sent them pressing closer to the dangerous cliff edge. As dawn broke the next morning, Thunder began his approach. Sarah watched through binoculars as he carefully picked his way across the snow-covered terrain. His movements were deliberate, confidence radiating from every step. The wild horses noticed him immediately, the herd shifting nervously as he drew closer. Ghost, the silver stallion, moved to meet Thunder halfway. The two horses faced each other in the pristine snow, steam rising from their nostrils in the frigid air. What happened next left everyone at base camp speechless. Instead of the expected confrontation between stallions, Thunder lowered his head in a gesture of peace. The interaction that followed demonstrated a level of communication that challenged everything they thought they knew about horse behavior. Thunder and Ghost engaged in what appeared to be a complex exchange, using subtle body language and soft vocalizations. Dr. Rodriguez, filming everything, could hardly contain her excitement at witnessing such unprecedented behavior. Gradually, Thunder began leading Ghost and his herd away from the danger zone. He seemed to instinctively understand the safe path through the treacherous terrain, testing each step before signaling the others to follow. The wild horses, who had refused all human help, trusted him completely. The rescue operation took hours, with Thunder guiding small groups of horses to safety while constantly checking the stability of the snowpack. His awareness of the danger was extraordinary. Several times he redirected the herd moments before. Minor slides occurred in areas they had just avoided. As the last group made their way to safety, a low rumble echoed through the valley. A secondary avalanche was starting, triggered by the shifting temperatures. Thunder's response was immediate and decisive. He quickly moved the remaining horses to higher ground, positioning himself between them and the danger until the snow settled. The success of the rescue was beyond anything they had dared hope for. All 30 wild horses were safely relocated to a protected valley within the sanctuary's boundaries. But Thunder's work wasn't finished. He spent several days helping the herd adjust to their new location, showing them where to find shelter and forage. Rebecca was moved to tears by his dedication. "In our traditions," she explained to Sarah, "we believe that some animals are spirit guides, sent to teach us important truths. Thunder is showing us something profound about leadership and compassion." The documentation of Thunder's rescue methods provided invaluable insights for wild horse conservation efforts. His ability to communicate with and guide the wild herd demonstrated possibilities that would influence sanctuary management practices worldwide. As they prepared to return home, Ghost approached Thunder one last time. The two stallions touched noses in farewell, a moment of connection between domestic and wild that spoke to the deeper bonds possible between all living beings. The silver stallion had learned from Thunder's example, already showing signs of calmer, more confident leadership with his herd. The return to Evergreen Meadows was triumphant, but Thunder's impact continued to ripple outward. The rescue had drawn attention to the plight of wild horses, leading to increased support for conservation efforts. Several sanctuaries began implementing programs inspired by Thunder's gentle approach to rehabilitation. The experience had also deepened their understanding of Thunder's capabilities. His work with the wild herd showed that his gifts extended far beyond the structured environment of therapy programs. He possessed an innate ability to bridge worlds, between wild and domestic, between fear and trust, between survival and healing. On their first evening home, Sarah found Thunder standing in the snow-covered paddock, gazing toward the mountains. The setting sun painted the clouds in shades of rose and gold, a reminder of the beauty that existed even in the midst of challenge. "You've shown us once again that courage isn't just about facing danger," she said softly, brushing snow from his mane. "It's about showing others the way to safety, about being the bridge between fear and hope." That night, as the winter stars emerged above Evergreen Meadows, Thunder's gentle spirit seemed to encompass the entire ranch. His presence reminded everyone that within each challenge lay the possibility of transformation, and that true strength often came wrapped in gentleness. The story of the horse who had run into a burning barn had expanded yet again, touching lives far beyond their valley. Thunder had become more than a hero or a healer. He was a bridge between worlds, showing that the power of compassion could transcend every barrier, even those between wild and tame, between fear and trust, between survival and truly living. As snowflakes continued to fall softly in the darkness, Thunder made his rounds of the ranch, checking on each of his charges. His quiet strength and unwavering dedication remained a testament to the extraordinary impact one being could have. When guided by love and courage, spring brought an unexpected visitor to Evergreen Meadows who would challenge Thunder's abilities in ways they never imagined. Dr. Amelia Chen, a pioneering neurologist specializing in autism research, arrived unannounced one morning, drawn by reports of Thunder's extraordinary work with special needs children. What caught her attention wasn't just the success stories, but something more specific, the way Thunder seemed to anticipate and respond to seizures in some of their young participants, often before any visible signs appeared. The scientist in her was skeptical, but the patterns were too consistent to ignore. "I've reviewed every documented case," she explained to Sarah, spreading out her research notes. "Thunder's accuracy rate in predicting neurological events is higher than any trained service animal we've studied. I believe he might help us understand how to better detect and prevent these episodes." Thunder stood quietly nearby, his ears forward as Dr. Chen outlined her proposal. She wanted to conduct a controlled study, using advanced monitoring equipment to track both Thunder's behavior and the neurological activity of the children he worked with. The goal was to identify what signals he was detecting and potentially develop early warning systems that could save lives. The study attracted attention from medical institutions worldwide. Soon, Evergreen Meadows was hosting teams of researchers, each bringing sophisticated equipment to measure everything from subtle changes in body temperature to microscopic shifts in facial expressions. What they discovered was remarkable. Thunder showed an ability to detect neurological changes up to 15 minutes before visible symptoms appeared. His response pattern was consistent, a specific type of movement, a particular way of positioning himself near the affected child, and a distinct vocalization that seemed designed to alert caregivers. But it wasn't just his predictive abilities that amazed the researchers. Thunder appeared to have developed different strategies for different types of seizures. For absent seizures, he would gently maintain physical contact with the child, helping them stay grounded. For tonic-clonic seizures, he created space around the person while keeping others at a safe distance. Emma, applying her media studies expertise, documented everything meticulously. The footage showed Thunder's extraordinary awareness and the subtle ways he communicated with both children and caregivers. His methods began influencing the development of new therapeutic protocols. Lucy, who had always shown remarkable sensitivity to emotions, began working alongside Thunder in these sessions. Her blindness seemed to enhance her ability to detect subtle changes in breathing and heart rate. Together, they formed an unprecedented therapeutic team. The breakthrough came during work with a young girl named Maya. Thunder's behavior patterns shifted suddenly during what seemed like a routine session. His urgent signals prompted immediate medical attention, leading to the discovery of a previously undiagnosed condition that could have been life-threatening if left untreated. Dr. Chen's findings revolutionized understanding of animal-assisted therapy. Thunder's abilities suggested possibilities that transcended traditional medical boundaries. His work began influencing the development of new diagnostic tools and treatment approaches. But perhaps more remarkable was how Thunder handled the increased attention and demands on his time. He maintained his gentle patience, adapting his approach for each child while helping train other therapy horses in basic awareness techniques. His capacity for teaching seemed to grow with each new challenge. The research project attracted unexpected support. A technology company, inspired by Thunder's abilities, began developing sensors based on his detection patterns. A medical equipment manufacturer started designing child-friendly monitoring devices that incorporated elements of his calming techniques. Sarah watched it all with a mixture of pride and amazement. Thunder had moved beyond being just a therapy horse. He was helping bridge the gap between intuitive healing and medical science. His work was creating new possibilities for understanding the connection between animals and human health. One afternoon, while observing Thunder work with a group of children, Dr. Chen made an observation that captured the essence of their discoveries. "He's not just responding to physical signals," she noted. "He's teaching us about a kind of awareness that we've forgotten how to access. These children trust him because he meets them where they are, without judgment or expectation." The impact of their research extended far beyond Evergreen Meadows. Medical centers began incorporating elements of Thunder's methods into their pediatric care programs. His success inspired new approaches to training service animals, emphasizing intuitive connection alongside technical skills. James Matthews, watching from his wheelchair, saw something profound in these developments. "Thunder's showing us that healing isn't just about fixing what's wrong," he reflected. "It's about understanding the whole person, body, mind, and spirit." He's helping us remember what medicine sometimes forgets. The study culminated in a groundbreaking paper published in a prestigious medical journal. The findings challenged conventional understanding of animal cognition and therapeutic interaction. Thunder's work was helping create a new paradigm in healthcare, one that recognized the profound connection between intuitive awareness and scientific understanding. As spring flowers bloomed across Evergreen Meadows, the ranch had evolved into something unprecedented, a place where cutting-edge medical research met ancient wisdom about healing. Thunder's gentle spirit remained at its heart, showing how courage could wear many faces and healing could come in many forms. One evening, as sunset painted the sky in brilliant colors, Sarah found Thunder in his favorite spot overlooking the ranch. Below them, children played in the therapy gardens, while researchers packed up their equipment for the day. The contrast between scientific precision and natural healing seemed to dissolve in the peaceful scene. "You've shown us something amazing," she told him, stroking his strong neck. "Not just about healing, but about how to bridge different worlds. Aye, between science and intuition, between fear and trust, between what we know and what we're still learning to understand." Thunder's soft nickering seemed to acknowledge her words. His wise eyes held the same steady peace they had shown the night he ran into the burning barn. That single act of courage had opened a door to possibilities they were still discovering. The legacy of Thunder's work continued to grow, touching lives in ways they had never imagined. He had become more than a healer or a research subject. He was a pioneer, helping forge new paths in understanding how animals and humans could work together to create deeper healing. As stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Thunder made his evening rounds, checking on each of his charges. His presence brought calm to the excited children, peace to the busy researchers, and hope to the parents who watched their children blossom under his care. The story of the horse who ran into a burning barn had evolved into something far richer, a testament to the extraordinary possibilities that emerge when courage meets compassion, when science meets intuition, and when the wisdom of the heart guides the quest for understanding. Dr. Chen's research would continue, but they had already discovered something beyond scientific measurement. The profound truth that healing comes in many forms, and sometimes the greatest breakthroughs arrive on four legs, wrapped in quiet wisdom and unconditional love. Summer storms swept across Evergreen Meadows, bringing with them an unprecedented crisis that would test Thunder's abilities in a completely new way. A devastating tornado had torn through a neighboring county, leaving dozens of horses traumatized and separated from their owners. The local emergency response team reached out to Sarah with an urgent request. They needed Thunder's unique talents to help reunite these displaced animals with their families. The scope of the disaster was overwhelming. Horses had been scattered across miles of debris-strewn countryside, many too frightened to approach rescuers. Some had been separated from their owners for days, while others were injured and hiding in remote areas. The emotional toll on both the animals and their desperate owners was heartbreaking. Thunder's response to the crisis revealed yet another dimension of his extraordinary spirit. Without hesitation, he assumed the role of search and rescue leader, working tirelessly to track down the missing horses. His methods showed an uncanny understanding of both equine and human psychology. What amazed the rescue teams most was Thunder's ability to match horses with their correct owners. He seemed to recognize subtle cues that even experienced handlers missed. In one remarkable case, he led rescuers to a mare hidden in a dense thicket, then guided them back to a family who had been searching at a completely different location. Dr. Rodriguez, who had arrived to document this new aspect of Thunder's work, observed something fascinating. "He's not just finding horses," she noted, watching him comfort a particularly traumatized stallion. "He's helping them process their trauma before reuniting them with their owners. It's as if he understands that healing needs to begin before the journey home." The work was challenging and often dangerous. Debris from the tornado had created treacherous conditions, and many of the horses were in a state of panic. Thunder navigated these challenges with remarkable wisdom, using different approaches for each situation. For aggressive horses, he demonstrated calm authority. For frightened ones, he showed gentle patience. Lucy, despite her blindness, played a crucial role in the operation. Her heightened sensitivity to sound and movement helped locate horses hidden in difficult terrain. The partnership between the two horses became a powerful symbol of how limitations could become strengths in the right circumstances. One particularly moving rescue involved a young girl's beloved pony, missing for 5 days. When Thunder finally located the pony, trapped in a partially collapsed barn, his actions showed extraordinary problem-solving abilities. He helped keep the frightened animal calm, while rescuers carefully cleared a path to safety. The reunion between the girl and her pony brought tears to everyone's eyes. Thunder stood quietly nearby, watching as though understanding the significance of the moment. It was another reminder of his unique ability to bridge the gap between animal instinct and human emotion. As news of Thunder's success spread, other communities affected by the tornado began requesting his help. The emergency response team created a mobile unit specifically designed to transport him to different locations. Each new area presented unique challenges, but Thunder's adaptability never wavered. Emma, documenting these rescues, captured moments that would later become part of a powerful educational series about disaster response and animal psychology. The footage showed Thunder's methods evolving with each new situation, demonstrating an intelligence that challenged conventional understanding of equine capabilities. The most remarkable aspect of Thunder's work during this crisis was his ability to heal not just the horses, but their human companions as well. Many owners, traumatized by the loss and uncertainty, found comfort in watching him work. His calm presence and unwavering dedication helped restore their faith in recovery and reunion. Sarah observed these interactions with growing understanding. "He's teaching us about resilience," she explained to a group of emergency responders. "These aren't just rescue operations. They're lessons in how to maintain hope and trust, even in the darkest circumstances." The experience led to the development of new protocols for disaster response involving animals. Thunder's methods were studied and adapted into training programs for rescue teams across the country. His success showed how combining animal intuition with human resources could create more effective emergency responses. One evening, after a particularly challenging rescue, Dr. Rodriguez shared an insight that captured the essence of Thunder's impact. "What we're witnessing goes beyond search and rescue," she said. "He's showing us how to rebuild trust after trauma, how to reconnect broken bonds. These are lessons that apply far beyond this immediate crisis." The work continued for weeks, each day bringing new challenges and victories. Thunder's stamina seemed limitless, his dedication unwavering. Even in the most difficult moments, he maintained the same quiet strength that had first shown itself the night he ran into the burning barn. The crisis also revealed new aspects of Thunder's teaching abilities. Other horses began following his example, showing increased calm and cooperation during rescue operations. It was as if his presence awakened their own innate abilities to help and heal. As the emergency response phase wound down, the impact of Thunder's work continued to ripple outward. The bonds formed during the crisis created new connections between communities. People who had come together to help with rescues stayed connected, forming support networks that would prove valuable in future challenges. James Matthews, watching the transformation, saw something profound in these developments. "Thunder's showing us that sometimes the worst circumstances can bring out the best in both animals and humans," he reflected. "He's teaching us how to turn tragedy into opportunity for growth." The experience led to the creation of a specialized disaster response unit at Evergreen Meadows, dedicated to helping other communities prepare for and recover from similar crises. Thunder's methods became the foundation for new approaches to animal rescue and rehabilitation. As summer faded into early autumn, the immediate crisis had passed, but its lessons remained. Thunder had shown them yet another dimension of healing, the power of unwavering presence and dedicated service to transform lives touched by disaster. One quiet evening, as the sun set over the recovering landscape, Sarah found Thunder in his favorite spot overlooking the ranch. The air was clean after recent rains, and new growth was beginning to cover the scars left by the tornado. "You've shown us something remarkable again," she told him softly. "Not just about finding what's lost, but about helping everyone, horses and humans, find their way back to hope." Thunder's gentle nickering seemed to carry wisdom earned through each challenge faced and overcome. His eyes held the same steady courage that had guided him into the burning barn, now deepened by experiences of helping others find their way through darkness to light. The story of Thunder's work during the tornado crisis became another chapter in their ongoing journey of discovery. He had shown them that true healing often meant being willing to enter into others' storms, bringing calm and hope to those lost. In chaos, as stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Thunder made his rounds one final time, checking on the rescued horses still recovering at the ranch. His presence brought peace to their nervous energy, a living reminder that even the worst storms could be weathered when faced with courage and compassion. Winter descended early on Evergreen Meadows, bringing with it a challenge that would reveal the deepest dimensions of Thunder's extraordinary spirit. A mysterious illness had begun affecting horses across the state, leaving veterinarians baffled and owners desperate for answers. The symptoms were subtle at first: slight changes in behavior, loss of appetite, unusual fatigue, but they quickly progressed to more serious complications. Dr. Thompson arrived one morning with urgent news. Several prestigious veterinary hospitals had reported cases, and traditional treatments were proving ineffective. But there was something else. Reports were emerging of Thunder's unusual behavior in the days before the first cases were diagnosed. Security camera footage revealed Thunder had been exhibiting distinct patterns of behavior around horses that would later develop symptoms, often days before any visible signs appeared. He would stand guard near certain horses, displaying a specific type of movement that the staff had never seen before. Dr. Rodriguez, who had been continuously documenting Thunder's activities, noticed something remarkable in the footage. "He's not just identifying sick horses," she explained, reviewing the videos. "He's actually demonstrating different behaviors for different stages of the illness. It's as if he's trying to communicate a diagnosis." The discovery led to an unprecedented collaboration between veterinary scientists and the team at Evergreen Meadows. Researchers arrived with sophisticated monitoring equipment, hoping to understand what signals Thunder was detecting. His accuracy in identifying affected horses before traditional testing could confirm the illness was astounding. More remarkably, Thunder began showing signs of understanding the progression of the disease. He would position himself differently around horses at various stages, and his behavior seemed to indicate which treatments were most effective. It was as if he could sense the internal battle each horse was fighting. Lucy, whose sensitivity to subtle changes had grown even more acute, worked alongside Thunder in this new challenge. Together, they created a kind of early warning system that helped veterinarians identify and treat cases before they became severe. Their partnership demonstrated how different abilities could combine to create something greater than the sum of its parts. The breakthrough came when Dr. Thompson noticed a pattern in Thunder's interactions with the recovering horses. He was guiding them to certain plants in the pasture, particularly after receiving traditional medications. This observation led to the discovery that these plants contained compounds that enhanced the effectiveness of the treatment. Emma, applying her growing expertise in documentation, created detailed records of Thunder's methods. These would later become crucial in developing new protocols for early detection and treatment of equine illnesses. The footage showed something beyond medical insight. It revealed a deep understanding of the connection between physical and emotional healing. Sarah watched in amazement as Thunder worked with each affected horse individually, adapting his approach based on their specific needs. Some required constant companionship, others needed space to rest. His intuitive understanding of their requirements helped maintain their spirits during recovery. The scientific community's interest in Thunder's abilities grew as more data emerged. His accuracy rate in early detection was higher than any known diagnostic tool, but it was his holistic approach to healing that truly set him apart. He seemed to understand that recovery involved more than just treating physical symptoms. James Matthews, observing from his wheelchair, saw something profound in Thunder's work. "He's not just helping us fight an illness," he noted. "He's teaching us about the interconnectedness of all aspects of healing, physical, emotional, and spiritual." The impact of Thunder's work extended far beyond the immediate crisis. His methods were studied and adapted into new approaches for veterinary care, emphasizing the importance of early detection and comprehensive treatment. The success of his intuitive approach led to broader acceptance of integrative veterinary medicine. One particularly moving case involved a champion show horse named Starlight, whose career had been threatened by the illness. Thunder's earlier detection and guidance through recovery not only saved Starlight's life, but led to insights that would help countless other horses. During the crisis, Thunder demonstrated an extraordinary capacity for teaching other horses about resilience. Recovering horses seemed to gain strength from his presence, and many began showing similar awareness of illness in their companions. It was as if he was creating a network of healing throughout the equine community. The experience transformed Evergreen Meadows into a center for innovative veterinary research. Scientists and healers from different traditions came together, studying Thunder's methods and developing new approaches to animal health care that combined modern medicine with ancient wisdom about healing. Dr. Rodriguez's documentation of Thunder's work during this period became the foundation for a new understanding of animal cognition and healing abilities. "What we're seeing here," she wrote, "challenges everything we thought we knew about the capabilities of horses to participate in the healing process." As winter deepened, Thunder's role evolved beyond that of healer to become a bridge between different approaches to healing. His work helped create dialogue between traditional veterinary medicine and alternative therapies, showing how different methods could complement each other. One evening, as snow fell softly outside, Sarah found Thunder standing watch over the recovering horses. His presence brought a palpable sense of peace to the barn, his quiet strength a reminder that healing came in many forms. "You've shown us something extraordinary again," she whispered, touching his strong neck. "Not just about fighting illness, but about the power of understanding and compassion in the healing process." Thunder's gentle response seemed to carry the wisdom of all he had learned and taught during this challenge. His eyes held the same steady courage that had guided him into the burning barn, now deepened by experiences of helping others find their way back to health. The story of Thunder's work during the illness crisis added another dimension to his legacy of healing. He had shown them that true healing involved more than just treating symptoms. It required understanding the deep connections between body, mind, and spirit. As night settled over the snow-covered ranch, Thunder made his rounds, one final time checking on each recovering horse. His presence brought comfort to the sick and strength to the healing, a living reminder that even in the darkest times, hope and healing could flourish through understanding and compassion. The impact of Thunder's work during this period would continue to influence veterinary medicine for years to come. He had helped create a new paradigm of healing that recognized the importance of both scientific knowledge and intuitive understanding, showing that the greatest breakthroughs often came when different approaches worked together in harmony. As the crisis began to ease, Evergreen Meadows emerged stronger, with a deeper understanding of healing and the extraordinary capabilities of their four-legged teachers. Thunder had once again transformed challenge into opportunity, showing that within every difficulty lay the seeds of greater wisdom and understanding. The legacy of the horse who had run into a burning barn had grown far beyond that single act of courage. Thunder had become a pioneer in the field of animal healing, showing that the capacity for understanding and helping others knew no bounds when guided by compassion and wisdom. Spring blossomed at Evergreen Meadows, bringing with it a moment of profound transition. Thunder, the horse who had changed countless lives through his extraordinary courage and wisdom, was entering his twilight years. Yet even as his pace slowed, his impact on the world continued to grow in unexpected ways. One crisp morning, as dawn painted the sky in shades of rose and gold, a group of young horses arrived at the ranch. They had been specifically chosen from various backgrounds, some from rescue situations, others from traditional training programs, all selected for their unusual sensitivity and intelligence. These horses would become Thunder's final students, carrying his legacy of healing into the future. Sarah watched with quiet amazement as Thunder began working with each horse individually. His methods had evolved into something even more remarkable, a sophisticated language of subtle gestures and behaviors that seemed to transcend ordinary horse communication. He was teaching them not just how to interact with humans, but how to understand and respond to the deeper needs of those seeking healing. Lucy, now a respected therapy horse in her own right, worked alongside Thunder in this new endeavor. Her blindness had become a powerful teaching tool, showing the young horses how to rely on senses beyond sight. Together, they created a unique approach to training that emphasized intuition and emotional intelligence. The transformation in the young horses was extraordinary. Under Thunder's guidance, they began showing abilities that mirrored his own, detecting illness before visible symptoms appeared, responding to emotional distress with remarkable sensitivity, and demonstrating an uncanny understanding of human psychology. Dr. Rodriguez, who had documented Thunder's journey from the beginning, observed something profound in these final teachings. "He's not just passing on skills," she noted, watching him work with a particularly promising young stallion. "He's teaching them how to teach others. It's a multiplication of wisdom that could impact generations of therapy horses." Emma, now completing her doctorate in equine-assisted therapy, developed a comprehensive curriculum based on Thunder's methods. "What we're seeing isn't just training," she explained to a group of visiting specialists. "It's the creation of a new understanding of how horses can participate in human healing." The impact of Thunder's legacy program quickly attracted international attention. Therapeutic riding centers from around the world sent representatives to observe and learn. Each visitor left with not just new techniques, but a deeper appreciation for the extraordinary potential of horses to facilitate healing. One particularly moving moment came when David, the young boy with autism who had first connected with Thunder years ago, returned to the ranch. Now a confident teenager studying to become a therapeutic riding instructor, he worked alongside Thunder with the young horses, demonstrating how the bonds formed through trust and understanding could transform lives. James Matthews, watching from his wheelchair as Thunder guided his students through complex interactions, saw something remarkable. "He's teaching them more than techniques," he observed. "He's showing them how to carry the spirit of healing forward, how to be bridges between the world of horses and the world of human need." The program evolved to include innovative elements that combined Thunder's intuitive methods with modern technology. Specialized sensors helped track the subtle changes in behavior that indicated a horse's developing healing abilities. This data would later become invaluable in understanding and cultivating these skills in other horses. As summer approached, Thunder's teaching took on an even deeper dimension. He began showing his students how to work together, creating networks of support that enhanced their individual abilities. The young horses learned to coordinate their efforts, each contributing their unique strengths to the healing process. Sarah found herself moved to tears one morning, watching Thunder guide a group session. The once fierce stallion who had charged into a burning barn had become a gentle teacher, his wisdom touching lives in ways that would continue long after he was gone. His legacy would live on through every horse he taught, every life they touched, every heart they helped heal. The young horses began to show remarkable initiative, developing their own unique approaches to healing while maintaining the core principles Thunder had taught them. Each one seemed to find their special calling. Some excelled at working with children, others with trauma survivors, still others with physical rehabilitation. Dr. Thompson, conducting regular health checks on Thunder, marveled at his continued dedication despite his advancing age. "He's showing us something about purpose," she reflected. "When we're doing what we're meant to do, it keeps us strong, keeps us going even when our physical strength begins to fade." As autumn approached, Thunder's teaching became more focused on ensuring his students could work independently. He would watch from a distance as they handled challenging situations, intervening only when necessary, gradually transferring the responsibility of healing to the next generation. The ranch organized a special ceremony to honor Thunder's legacy and celebrate the graduation of his first class of student healers. People whose lives had been touched by Thunder over the years gathered to share stories and witness the continuation of his work through his students. Maya, the young girl who had lost her sight and found hope through working with Thunder and Lucy, performed a musical tribute she had composed. The melody captured something of Thunder's spirit, gentle yet powerful, wise yet humble, always reaching out to help others find their way. During the ceremony, each of Thunder's students demonstrated their newly developed abilities, showing how his teachings had been integrated into their own unique styles. The display moved many to tears, seeing how one horse's courage and compassion had multiplied into many forms of healing. That evening, as the sun set on Evergreen Meadows, Sarah found Thunder in his favorite spot, overlooking the ranch. His coat had grown dappled with gray, but his eyes still held the same steady wisdom that had guided so many to healing. "You've created something beautiful," she whispered, embracing his strong neck, "something that will continue to grow and touch lives long after we're gone." Thunder's gentle nickering seemed to carry both satisfaction and peace, an acknowledgement of work well done and wisdom well shared. The story of the horse who ran into a burning barn had become far more than a tale of single heroic moment. It had grown into a legacy of healing that would continue through generations of horses, touching countless lives with the power of understanding, compassion, and unconditional love. As stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Thunder made his final rounds, checking on his students one last time. Each young horse acknowledged him with respect and gratitude, carrying within them the seeds of his wisdom and courage. His legacy would live on through their work, through every life they touched, through every heart they helped heal. The impact of Thunder's journey had rippled out far beyond what anyone could have imagined that night he charged into the flames. He had shown the world that true courage often wore the quiet face of compassion, that healing came in many forms, and that the greatest gift we could give was to help others discover their own capacity for healing and growth. And so, as night settled over Evergreen Meadows, the story of Thunder's extraordinary life became not an ending, but a beginning. A testament to the enduring power of courage, compassion, and the unbreakable bonds between horses and humans. A legacy that would continue to inspire and heal for generations to come. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.